That was a really, really good podcast where you were talking all about using each other's strengths, not use each other's strengths. So what did you get out of that?
What I love the most is how practical and how doable it actually is for everyone, whether they are entrepreneurs together, have a business, don't just have a household. Anybody can use these tips and make their life better.
Yeah, and another cool part I love too is when you learn to do it as a couple and you're building businesses, when those businesses start to grow, you now can take that same system and bring it into your business and let other people do those things too. So that is super cool. We can't wait for you guys to listen. Thanks again. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Spouse podcast.
Live your life with your friend. Pursue big things and accomplish your dreams. Learn to love and learn to grow. The Spouse Podcast, you are in the know. SBO USA, SBO USA. What can be your true destiny? SBO USA, SBO USA.
And we are back with another awesome podcast. And this one, we are working through the spouse acronym SPOUSE. And we are currently on the,
You.
oh,
What does
yes.
it mean?
What does it mean?
We love this one.
I love this one. And before we get into that, I want to introduce the lovely lady sitting next to me here, the most amazing, influential, godly, family loving, just all around caring, amazing woman, my wife, Lexi Bowden Mueller.
Thanks, honey.
Welcome.
That's very welcome.
I'm
Thank you.
I'm trying to get
Yeah.
like it's actually good to do that because it gets me like remembering and reminding myself of how awesome you really are.
Oh, you're
There's
so
lots of
sweet.
impressive things that you do.
Impressive. Mm.
And not all you're impressive just in your looks too. Easy now. Slow down. All right. So we are getting into the you, and the you is what?
Use each other's strengths,
Yes. And that is,
which is important for many reasons.
yeah. And I think I titled it, people are probably looking at it going, wait a second. It says use each other? Question mark?
Yeah, clickbait.
Yeah, that's clickbait, all right. And you clicked on it and you're listening, so it's working.
It
But
worked.
yeah, no, and we're not trying to use each other. We're trying to use each other's strength. So let's start with strength. What are we talking about? Are we talking about we go to the gym and you're better at legs, obviously, than I
Yes,
am?
so you don't do leg day and I do.
Yeah,
That makes it easier on
that's
everybody,
yeah,
right?
so that's what we're
Yeah,
talking about.
and then
So
half the work.
right.
Okay, not really.
Okay, not really. Her legs are way better than mine, by the way. I have little bird legs,
Oh, stop.
but I just started doing a leg workout and
But
it
that's
sucks.
for another day.
Yeah, we'll
We're
be talking
talking about
legs.
in, business, household, investing. How do we leverage each other's strengths so that you're not stuck doing things that you hate or drain you, and we get it done easier working together, right?
Absolutely. Yes, yes. So when we talk about using each other's strengths, what are the if you were to summarize it, because we don't want to give it all away.
Yeah, can't be giving away all the secrets.
It's just because this right here is what you need to be part of. If you're watching on YouTube right now, I'm pointing at my shirt and it's our campfire couples community. And that's where we talk. We really dive in deep on all of the spouse acronym plus what we call our four core life pillars and that. But for this podcast, we do want to give you a good summary and information,
Overview.
an overview.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's say a 10,000-foot overview, maybe 5,000 of what the use each other's strengths means. So summarize that for us, if you would. What would you say use each other's strengths means?
It means trying to do what you are best at, and if there's something that your spouse is better than you, let them do it. It's not being prideful, and it'll be way better in the long run because when you're not good at something, typically you don't enjoy doing it and it'll drain you faster. So, if we're in the same boat, we want to be rowing together and not pulling in different directions because then no one gets anywhere.
That's the best analogy ever, and I think that really, um, lays out and great job on summarizing that too. That really lays out what use each other's strengths is if we think of the boat, right? And close your eyes for a second and envision you and your spouse in a little boat. We're talking a little boat here, like a little
A
boat,
dinghy.
a dinghy where you have a row. Is that what it's
You
called?
have a row.
You have a
You
row.
have a row.
You have
Yeah,
an
an
oar.
oar. Yes.
Thank you. It took a
Oars.
while. It's been a while since I've
Yep.
been on one of these boats.
Row the
And
oar.
then you have an oar. So you both have your own separate oars. Why do they call them that? That's the weirdest name. Whatever.
It's we could look into that and
We'll
find
get
out
into
if you really
marine,
want.
whatever that's called later. But so you both have your own oar, OAR.
Yes.
And when you go to row, how does that work? Because you wanna go the same direction, right? So if you're in this little dinghy and maybe it's a little rocky going back and forth and you're like, "There's shore, that's where we need to get to." And you're, like, you're starting to go, and then your spouse is, like, maybe not keeping up or something, and then
Oh,
what
not
happens?
keeping up? What?
Yeah,
You
or
mean maybe
whatever.
wanting to go, like, on a
Faster.
detour?
Yeah, well, what happens is your boat you're like, "No, we're going towards shore. It's straight in front of us, 12 o'clock." Well, now you're starting to go towards, like, 9 o'clock, and you're like, "Wait, what are we doing?" Somebody's rowing, what, slow or fast or however that works, and you're not going in the direction you want. So, that is just a glimpse if now you can open your eyes. That is just a glimpse
They
in.
fell asleep because that took
No,
too long.
that was way good, by the way, thank you.
They were
So good.
dreaming of where they were gonna row.
Yeah, and that's good too. You can dream where you want to row. But when you're rowing that boat, you both need to be rowing the same direction. But also with that, you're going to see one person might have strengths or things that they're better at than the other. So now we'll take away from the rowing and we'll get into everyday life. Okay.
Yes. So, one of the biggest things that can be helpful is breaking down what are all the tasks that you do need to do. And then from those, okay, who's doing what? Why do we do that? Well, if we divide and we only have one person responsible for a task, it's more likely to get done. One. If it's, multiple people's task, then it can fall through the cracks. But also, if I'm just doing what I'm better at and Jeff's just doing what he's better at, usually it's not the same thing. Um, especially with married couples, we're typically kind of opposites. So he's better at things that I am not very good at all. So it's nice to be able to have someone else that you rely on, right? You can also think of this as like rungs in a ladder, and we can fill in if each one is a strength. Between the two of us, we have more of those than if we're by ourselves. So it makes it easier to get things accomplished.
Yeah, that's solid right there. And I love the rungs of a ladder. Like that's a really good analogy too. So okay, so we go into life and we say like we're in business or whatever we're doing. So for us, we'll give an example. Right now, we're working on another live-in flip. This is like number 4 that we've done with our family and stuff like that. Now it's pretty much just the two of us. Obs, you're not helping as much as you should. Anyway,
Yeah, right.
um, but in that, so there's certain things, and we've learned this over the years too, but there are certain things as we're doing work, right? Like
Physical labor.
physical labor. Okay. So there's the physical side, and then there's like the mental side. There's spiritual, emotional, all these different sides. And there's certain things that the other person might be better at. And we've learned this over time. But let me tell you one thing that my wife is way better at than me, and that is doing tile work. We'll go through a quick story. My daughter and I, Aubrey, if you're listening,
She remembers this.
she remembers this because it was heavy. So anyway, we were um, at home. I'm going through a lot of other stuff at this point in my life too. This was not a good time in any of our lives, but we were in this massive live-in flip, and we were doing a lot of tile work and different things, and we were tiling the upstairs bathroom, and Lexi went to do a doctor's appointment, And I told Aubrey, I'm like, "Hey," she kinda laid all the tile out for us, and we just had to mud it up and put it down on the floor. Um, and she said, "Mix the mortar at peanut butter consistency." Okay, well, my peanut butter that I'm used to is very drippy.
No, no.
Yeah. So I
I should
so
have said Skippy, not Drippy.
Skippy, not drippy. So anyway, I mixed it up and it was not peanut butter consistency. And so my daughter and I are in the bathroom and I'm putting the stuff on the tile, like back buttering it, which it wasn't butter. So it just is like back grease. I just put it on and it just fell off. And
Pouring.
then I just dumped it on the ground or on the floor and I started laying the tile and I was getting it everywhere. I had it all over me. I had most of it, the mortar on me. Matter of fact, I knew I threw away one of my nice shirts, not nice shirts, but one of my shirts I wore forever because it wouldn't come out. Um, and tile all over my pants. And I was saying every cuss word in the book because I was super upset, frustrated as heck with what was going on. Long story short, that was a moment I said, my wife is better at this than me. And not only that, like just cutting the tile. If anybody in here has cut tile, like you have to be so careful. You have to be very slow. You can't just like cut it like you're cutting a board. You have to be like really slow. So I would rush it through and crack them, rush it through and crack it. So all this compounded, and I'm like, this is not my task. This is not something I'm good at. I'm going to hire it out. In this case, my wife was cheaper than hiring labor.
Hired out.
So she and actually she likes to do it, but she's also very, very good at it. She knows how to pick tile, she knows how to pick the grouts, she knows how to lay it out. So anyway, on this project we're working on right now, she did all the tile work and it looks
Oh, not
absolutely.
all of it though, honey. You did some great work yourself.
I did some really good work. So we
Yes.
have a tile floor in the house and we knocked out a couple walls and there's like spots where there's no tile. And so we're going to cover all that because we're going to put down laminate flooring in the house. So I just put little
You
pieces in
mean
there.
luxury
Luxury
vinyl?
vinyl.
Like luxury.
Yeah. So I just put these little pieces in there. I did a funny if you go on our Instagram, Jeff and Lexi, you'll see I did this little video making a joke because I'm not good at tile. So I was like, look at all this work I did, and it looks horrible because it's not supposed
Aw.
to look good.
It's just a shame it's gonna be all covered up.
Yes. So that's just one example, guys. So now I'm gonna address the men here. This is something like I'm totally good with my wife doing man things. I'm totally good for her, like, "Hey, if you wanna go up on the roof and help me roof or you wanna do whatever," that's how we work. Now there's,
More
like
power to you.
yeah, there's
Go do
tasks,
it.
like, obviously in the household, in a Christian household where I think there's man and men tasks and there's women tasks, and I know a lot of people are gonna spew hate now and be like, "You're horrible." Well, tough.
I
That's
wanna know
how
what
we
those are.
yeah. So that's how we typically do things, but I'm all about, like, doing the women tasks and folding the laundry or cleaning up or doing those things or vacuuming or mopping, all that stuff, as well as we work on the roofs together, we've put in windows together, we do all these things. Going back to my point about use each other's strengths. Sh You are very, very good at tile.
Thanks.
And I am not, and I have tried multiple times, and I can get better at it, but I'm like, "Wait a second. Why would I not encourage my wife and say, 'Honey, do you wanna do if you wanna continue to do this, would you mind doing this? You're awesome at it,' because she's very good at it, and then I entrust and I humble myself and say, like, 'Do it,' and then
Do
vice versa
I tell her, "Do it now. Chop, chop."
and vice versa, you
Trust you
to do
to
whatever
do other
tasks."
things,
Yeah.
like talk to the Airbnb guests, right? Because 'Cause you're better at that than me. But I guess the whole point to move on from the one example, a couple of episodes ago, we talked about setting goals together, right? So, what we do is, okay, there's our goal, and then how do we get there, right? So, just a kind of really practical, you know, put into use would be, okay, what are the exact things that we need to do? Make a list, and each person goes through and honestly answers, okay, am I better at this or is my spouse better at this? You're gonna run into times where neither of you want to do something and you might have to compromise and both kind of suck it up, but if you can divide a lot of those things, and it's better than having none of them
Mm.
kind of delegated, and then also if there's things that you both really, really are not good at or don't like to do and you can delegate it to someone else, do that. I know
Yes.
we can't always, but whenever you can, it can just save you a lot of headache, a lot of stress to delegate whenever possible.
Yes.
And then also, it'll reduce the friction and burnout of trying to get to your long term goal. If you're just grinding and grinding away at something you really don't like to do and you aren't that good at doing, it's gonna burn you out quicker and it's gonna be harder for you to just keep on consistently doing things for the long term goal.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's like, going back to the tile thing for a second, I think that's we were talking in the very beginning about we are pretty opposite with a lot of things, and you're very patient with, like, little tasks or things that, like, are very minuscule or, whatever, take, like, the fine motor skills sometimes, and that's not, like, something I like to just I can work and get a whole bunch of stuff done, but I have to move quick. I can't be doing little tasks like sewing or, like, things that take a while. I'm like, I that's very hard for me to do. So there's the balance, right? It's like there's that trade-off. Lex, like you're very, very good at doing spreadsheets and data entry and analyzing properties and stuff like that. That's not me. I can still do it and I need to learn. I'm not saying like you're like, that's not me, so I'm just not doing it. Forget it, give it to someone else. You should still challenge yourself to do it, but to an extent, because like Lexi was just saying, if it's like draining you and you're like, oh my gosh, like what's the point? Then have someone else do it, or if your spouse is better at it than you, then that's their task and they run with that. So with our businesses and stuff, that's what I was gonna get into next is again, going through and saying, "You're better at communicating, you're better at doing the numbers, you're better at doing this, you're better at doing that." Humbling ourselves, that's the key part of this, and then encouraging the opposite, the spouse to, tell them, like, "I am so appreciative of you doing these things in the business, because if it wasn't for you, our business would be failing." And I think that's a unique part of this too.
Right. And then the other part of this is too is don't forget once you decide, okay, my spouse is going to do this, just trust them. You have to trust the other person to get it done. I'm not saying, throw someone into it without training, but once they know what they're supposed to do and are doing it, don't micromanage because nothing's more frustrating than being micromanaged when you're supposed to be doing something. So that's one tip. Trust your partner. Don't micromanage them.
Yeah, and that's I struggle with that. I get into a lot where I give somebody something and then I wanna kinda watch over them. I think but at the same time, I think we both
Watch
do.
over,
Well,
like watch over them.
look over their shoulder, like, creepy, like, "What are they doing
Why are
over
you
there?
doing it that way?
Why are you doing it that way?" And that's another thing too, outside of this, use each other's strengths, is use other people's strengths too. This is a whole nother episode. Later we can talk about this, but in our business, like there's so many things that we're doing, right? We're, like they always say, my our friend Sarah Bratcher did this awesome post, and she was like wearing this hat, wearing this hat, wearing this hat, and she started putting all these hats on, because in business that's something we tend to do, and it's so important to only wear the hats you should be wearing and delegate out things that you don't need to do and find the people that are good at wearing those hats or look good wearing those hats. So that's something that we've been doing a lot in our businesses is uh, paying out money, right? Because you got to hire and you got to do these things. So that's a little scary, which is no big deal. Getting those people to do those things and then watching in the beginning, it's a little bit rough because you're like, oh, my hand's not there. I need to be there. I need to be helping. I don't know if I trust these people. But then when you start to see the work happening, you're like, oh, this is actually really, really good. And that's kind of graduating from solopreneur to like entrepreneur, right? Like moving into that next thing where you have systems that you're now building and putting people in place of those systems to operate. So from use each other's strengths as a couple and understanding that as your businesses grow, then you can use that same thing for people outside, right? And then you can start saying, I'm going to use your strength for this and use your strength for that. And that's how really you see successful businesses and how businesses thrive. Because for those of you that are in that point, kind of where we're at, it's very tough to make that jump from like solopreneur to entrepreneur. But the hardest part I see in that is just trusting others to do that work. So if you can learn that in the very beginning with your spouse and just start working that out, you will see that it's easier when you get to that point of growing your business.
Right. Yeah, it's a good testing phase, right? Try it out with your spouse first and learn your, interpersonal communication and skills before you go pay someone a lot of money.
Yeah.
Do what you both can
Then
the
that's
best first.
I was gonna go back to what you talked about a little bit was in our campfire workbook for our couples, we have the task delegation worksheet, right? Is that what it's
Mhm.
called? It's so good. Lexi did this whole workbook. It's so good. Again, that's one of her strengths. Like I can come up with maybe the thoughts and then she's like the implementer that's like, you mean this? And I'm like, oh my god, that's gangster. You're so good. So she came up with this task delegation worksheet, and it's literally just this, all these different tasks, right? Business, whatever. And then it says, I can't remember, it says like me, my,
It
or
says
yes, no, or meh, or however you say it.
right,
Meh.
love, hate,
Yeah, love, hate, and
meh,
then meh.
and then my spouse is better at this
Yeah.
than I am.
Yeah. And that,
And if you have 2 loves, you're gonna have to compromise. If you're both say that you love a tasks, we'll share it, and then if you both hate a task, share it.
yes. Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get to do what you love all the time, but, you know, whatever you can do that you love is helpful.
Right, right. So, yeah. So, getting into like the next side of this, right? So again, use each other's strengths. Once you learn this, and again, this is a learned thing. This does not just happen overnight. It's not like tomorrow you're like, okay, so you're going to do this. Like that might not look good. So it's something you discuss and you sit
Right.
with your spouse and kind of talk it over and say like, hey, how do we get into this? How do we actually start learning to do this? Because it is, again, like I said, it's a learned thing. You have to work towards this. It'll
Yeah.
be a little bit tough in the beginning, so practice it. Okay. So what you can do is kind of like we were just talking about. You can use AI or whatever, and you can create like a little worksheet, or you can just write down a couple tasks that you do all the time with you and your spouse. Bills, feed the dog, seriously, all those different things, write them down. And then just put the two of you sit down together and just write out like Jeff, Lexi, Jeff and Lexi. None of us, right? Just write these out because this is a good start, and just pick like 5 or 10 things, right? And then just let that happen. Okay,
Let
your let it happen.
yeah,
So if
communication is key. You
communication
can't
is
just
key,
let it
but
happen.
I'm just well, you okay, yeah.
Start
Communicate.
with start with the common household things is a good way,
Yes,
shared things.
right. And
Um, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you will see right away when you're doing the common household things, you're like, okay, well, obviously, honey, you've been the cook for a long time.
I
I'll
love
try.
cooking, so I'm gonna do it even though I'll burn it all. Probably not the best way.
No, probably not the best way. So, and that's again, but here's the unique part of that. When you start to see those things, you gain appreciation for that other person. This is the crazy part of this. What I love so much about use each other's strengths is like I see those strengths that Lexi has, and I'm like, dang, like she is such a good cook. She does such a good job like taking care of me or taking care of our daughters and stuff like that and caring for people. Like there's so many things that we kind of take for granted, granular, ors, whatever. Uh, there's things that we after a while we take it for granted. We come home, we just expect dinner to be on the table. The other one, the spouse might go like, "Well, they worked all day. They're home, blah blah blah." We lose appreciation for those things. So when we bring that stuff back up, we gain appreciation for it. And I think that's the key part is to encourage that, right? Like coming home and being like, you're making dinner. You're so good at making dinner. Like every time you make dinner, I'm like, love it. It's amazing. Everything you cook is so good. Thank you for doing that. Well, I thank you for going to work all day and sweating your butt off up on the roof or whatever you're doing all day long. If you didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to have dinner on the table. So it comes back to an appreciation for each other, but then also that encouragement fuels their fire, right? If I tell you all the time, you're an amazing cook. Thank you so much for what you do. What does that make you want to do?
Definitely not get DoorDash.
I was waiting. She's so good at like coming up with the sneaky little remarks. I
No,
was like,
I
oh,
would
I
say,
set myself
"Oh,
up for this.
wow, I love cooking even more." No, it's really just showing gratitude towards that person
Mm.
so that it's like fuel, right? You keep giving them a little bit of fuel so they can keep going. If you're making dinner or if you're working every day and no one says thank you, pretty soon you start to get like, like grumble and complain about it and not put in the effort maybe. Which obviously that's not the right answer either, but, you know, we're supposed to always do our best,
Yes.
but it's just helpful when that other person, shows gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just think again, like going back to the beginning of this of using each other's strengths, it sounds like such a, oh, that's not that hard. Just yeah, I get what you're saying. But there's a lot of like, is it psychological is the word I'm thinking of? Like whatever, like the it's like tricking the brain in some ways and then like just going through a new way of doing things. Like it's not normal because we fight over so many things because I think a lot of times what gets in the way is our ego. And it's like, well, look, I went to design school, so I know how to pick colors better than you. You're colorblind. And you will fight over those things. And it's like sometimes if we just back away a little bit and just be like, check it out, like you are so much better at picking colors than me, run with it and encourage that. So it's like getting your mind to realize that you're not in competition with your spouse. You're not in competition with your spouse. You are a cohesive team and you are to work together. And that doesn't happen in competition. So a lot of times because we are
Well,
naturally as
if you're on
humans,
the same team and it's you against the task or you against the problem working
mm,
together,
yeah,
right?
right.
So you could view it that way if you're motivated by competition.
Yeah. If
Like,
you're
"Let's get this done together, honey."
That's it, yeah, so it's again, it's like that's what I was trying to say, like, psychological side of it where you have to, like, use science and go like, "Wait, humans, we're all this way, we all have, like, this the competitive God, I can't talk today, competitive side of we're always, we're competitive and we'll bring that into a relationship and we're competing over these things and we're fighting over these things instead of like, "Wait a second, we're doing a live and flip, what's the goal here? To compete on this live and flip or to be a cohesive team and make this live and flip look awesome. Now let's take each other's strengths in that and make it awesome and also get along and not be fighting over like, listen, you don't tell me how to do tile. I actually make it not peanut butter consistency. It's Hershey's syrup consistency and it's working great. So leave me alone. Yes, my tile's uneven, but that's your fault. So you get what I'm saying. I think that's in summary with use each other's strengths. I think that's the key part of it is when you learn those things and you learn like the psychology or whatever of like what we need to do, how we need to work together, that we are a team. Man, this is like lights out stuff. And honestly, like when we were writing the spouse framework and coming up with it, use each other's strengths was one of those that I was like, that is so brilliant. And obviously people do it, but it's something in marriage that we don't think of enough. And I think once you do and you start to realize like we are you are such a powerful duo. There's so much you can do. You can do so much more when you are better at being in the outfield and someone's better at being in the infield, if you know what I mean. That team runs a lot more smooth. So pick that person to do the right things and they tell you to do the right things and work together. And it's like, here we go. Live in flips all day long. Maybe not. I think this one
Uh,
will be good.
oh my goodness. Okay, so to kinda sum it up after all of that, basically how you can use this is if you don't have a goal or a vision together, first you need to establish that. Once you have your direction of where you're going, or say it's something like we need a cohesive household with all of the chores done, that's also a goal. Then sit together and break down all of the things that need to be done in order for that to happen. Then you can go through and you can break down your tasks by who's better at them or who's more capable. And once you break those down, you can divide them and conquer a lot easier. And if you have to revisit things, something's not working out, saying, "Hey, I thought I was really good at mowing the lawn, but turns out I'm not. Maybe we could have you take this over." You can always go back and communicate and adjust things if they're not working. But just getting started is the first step.
Yep, 100%. Just getting started is the first step, and I love the way you summarized that. That was so, so good. So do those things, and you will see through using each other's strengths, your marriage go a whole new way. Yeah,
I
you're
thought you were
laughing.
gonna rhyme.
With what?
So
Say
I
it.
don't know. The way that you said that, I thought it was gonna be like a poem at the end. I
I
was
was a
like,
poet, and I didn't even
yeah,
know it.
yeah.
Man, I'm so good. Anyway,
Uh,
thank you all so much for being here. Again, check us out at Jeff and Lexi on Instagram. We really appreciate it. We'll be back next week with the next part of the spouse framework. SPOUS, my favorite. U was second favorite. S is my favorite. And I think some people might know what it is. Can't wait to see you guys then.
Thanks for tuning in.